Good evening, Stunthangar fans. It's Monday, January 21st, and welcome to the Stunthangar Control Line Hangouts. And if you're a member and logged into Stunthangar, you can, of course, log in to the YouTube watch page and the video live on the At the Bench thread. And I have revised that, so anybody that wants to try again to get into the chat box, modified one instruction and bolded it, and it might make it easier for you to figure out how to get to the chat box before we get started. And that doesn't make it any more useful, or rather any easier to get to on telephones. They seem to like to hide it, but if you turn your phone vertical and scroll towards the bottom of the page, I think if you look out for comments, and it'll be in that vicinity, maybe underneath comments, and you'll see the live chat page where you can chat in real time with us. And anyway, that all out of the way, welcome, another Monday night, and hope everybody's feeling good and had a good weekend. I know we had a little bit of frozen weather, or a lot, depending on where you are, because we have people from all over. Hope you were able to deal with that, and maybe you got out to do some flying or some work in the shop. And so if you want to come in here and hang out with us, so we'll be here for the next couple of hours, at least till midnight, and we'll talk about whatever you want to, modeling, airplanes, cars, and whether they're full size or model size, then we'll talk about it. And looks like we got 3 viewers on the tube right now, so I'm waiting for somebody to come in and video chat with me. And this was a pretty busy weekend for me. I actually got out and got some more exercise than I've gotten since I've been out in the real world again. And I drove around, went exploring with my wife, had a good time, got real tired. But anyway, now it's Monday. I slept off all the tired from the weekend, and we're ready to rock and roll. As usual, I need somebody to come in and cover up my slurping sounds. I know everybody will appreciate that. I have talked to my flying buddy Wayne about maybe getting over here Thursday and restarting my workshop. It needs to have the table cleared off, and the new glass shower door put on it, and reorganized, because I was in packing mode when I quit flying, and I'm probably going to have to find all of my tools and everything. I was half packed for an expedition to Huntersville, and had tools scattered all about, and need to put everything back where it belongs and get serious, because I'm able to go back out to the shop now pretty much anytime I feel like it. So that's a first in a long, long time. Hoping to have some things to talk about. It's hard to sit here and talk to a bunch of control liners or any kind of modelers when I haven't actually been doing any modeling, but at least I've got y'all to talk to about it, and that kept me in the game until now, when I can get back out and play with you, hopefully. And we've got 7 viewers watching me. Not going to be watching me for long if I don't do something entertaining. I'll do my best to think up something. I need to get a joke page, something with not too corny jokes. Seems like on the forums, whenever somebody starts a joke thread, they post a link to a really corny joke page. Hey, Jackson Avley's on, and here comes Sparky, so let me let him in. And okay, Sparky, you're in.
Hey, I just thought I'd come in for a few minutes. I'm kind of burnt out. I'm not feeling real well.
Man.
You talked about freezing this morning was 8 degrees below zero, and I didn't have any gloves.
Oh, holy shit.
I
8
was
degrees. Wow.
I was out in the weather for a half an hour. My hands are still frozen.
It's hard to do anything with your hands when they're cold. I mean, if you were working with tools or anything, what'd you have to do? I mean, you're talking about at work. You were outside.
No, I couldn't get the car open.
Oh, God. Yeah.
The doors were frozen. Then I had to scrape the windows, and I didn't have any gloves. I had left them at work.
Oh, Christ.
Scrape the windows, and then the drive to work. I mean, it almost made me want to cry.
I bet. I've never been in weather that cold. I've had my car doors frozen shut, but nothing like what you're talking about. So if I acted like I didn't know what you were talking about, that's why. Yeah, that's tough weather.
8 below. Oh, it was unreal. But I got 2 pair of gloves now. I got them sitting right here.
Good. Well, yeah, I don't want you to get frostbite or anything. You need your building hands to be in good shape.
Yeah.
Here comes Bob Bishop, and let's see. Bob says that it was 13 degrees this morning where he was, and wind chill was minus 13. Excuse me, and yeah, stupid cold. But anyway, so just sitting here hoping some visitors will come in the live side, and I have pretty much expended all the monologue I have, so I don't have any jokes to tell or anything really entertaining. Hopefully somebody went out this weekend and flew or built something.
I've been tinkering. I'm at the finishing stage right now. I need to, put some dope on my wings, and I'm having a hard time doing it.
Yeah, well, you said you can't paint in your apartment there, right? So that's probably a problem.
Yeah, there's no way I can do that.
Charles is out there on YouTube watching us and commenting on the cold. Greg Rodney says he got 22 degrees in the driveway and freezing rain for tomorrow morning in the forecast. Yeah, we managed to escape any freezing rain so far this winter. That's February weather for us. That's the only time it gets really cold enough and wet enough at the same time.
Well, the nice thing about when it's that cold, I got the ice, my ice scraper wasn't broken when I started. So when I first hit the window with it, a big piece of ice just chipped off the window, enough that I could drive. And then when I hit it the second time, the head flew off of it.
Shit.
The ice was on the windshield, probably, ice and then snow about 2 inches thick. And it slid down the hood. So that, it was a bitch.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people bust windshields around here. They don't know how to treat ice on a windshield, so they'll start hacking away at it and break a window.
No. No. I had to drive real slow, no gloves, trying to go like this, trying to drive, trying to get my hands warm, couldn't do it. It sucked.
What kind of vehicle are you driving when you're in Ohio?
Saturn View.
Oh, okay. What's in that silver bottle you got there in front of you?
This?
Yeah.
My vapor.
Oh, it looked like a silver. Oh, I see it. It looked like a silver bottle. I thought you had some whiskey there or something.
I don't drink. I haven't had a drink in 27 years.
Yeah, you're right. I had forgotten about that just for momentarily.
I got my new turtle today. You probably don't know what a turtle is, but I'll show it to you.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not sure what you're talking about.
I don't get the other part to it until tomorrow, but I'm going to use this at Brodax. I don't. You're going to have to. See the legs there?
Yeah.
And then it goes up here like so. And then it extends up about 15 foot. And
For a microphone?
yep.
Cool.
Then my boom pole extends out 10 foot. So that when I do the shop interviews, I'm going to try to do a museum interview with John and, try to get set up.
Yeah.
So that turn out a good product.
Well, the boom mic gives you more room to move around without having to worry about the mic picking up your voice. Is that, I mean.
I got the wireless mic, but I don't want to have to go like that.
Yeah, right.
I'll put it overhead on a boom.
That's pretty cool. You got a pretty good collection of audio video equipment. That's like probably your second main hobby, I guess, isn't it? Well, you got airplanes, you got motorcycles, and you got audio visual equipment. So
I don't do motorcycles no more.
You what?
I don't do motorcycles anymore.
So was it warmer in the shop when you got to work today? I mean, you didn't have to work on stuff with tools that cold, did you?
No, it was warm in there. They had the heater running all night, and then we lit up the wood burning furnace. I don't know how the fire marshal, he's got to have a heart attack every time he sees that thing. What it is, it's a forge, and on top of the forge, they've got 3 55-gallon barrels in a, stack going up. Really strange. And if you stoke that forge real good, all 3 barrels will glow red hot.
Holy crap.
I mean, it'll get hot in there if you put enough wood to the fire.
Well, does the fire marshal have to okay it before? I mean, this is a commercial establishment, so does he has to okay that on paper somehow that it's the code for heating a workspace, isn't it?
No. This building's been around. I think it's 140 or 150 years, so it's grandfathered in. And so when the fire marshal comes in, he goes past like this.
Yeah, well, I see what you mean then. I guess he does kind of cringe when he sees that thing. It sounds like a beast, a red hot beast. Oh, I still got you locked in. I'll turn you off so all the YouTubers don't just have to stare at you. Sorry about that. Let's see who we got out here. Oh, Mike Leinke is going to join us soon after the shop warms up. So let's see. Bob Bishop is out there, and that's about it so far. Still waiting for Charles to come into the video. Hope you can come in tonight, Charles. He's watching. And oh no, not this guy again.
Get rid of Butthead.
Yeah, I'm getting rid of it. He didn't show up at first. He's turning his damn camera back on. God damn it. Hang on, I go. Eject. He was all over my damn controls.
What was his name on there?
Buddhist something. Sorry about that, people. That was our little spammer pirate that likes to come in here and troll once in a while. I hope he doesn't pester us tonight. But I'm doing all I can right now.
That means he's probably got approved. Here's back.
Game Plays Advanced. That's his old name. He checked it. Hopefully he'll get tired of it soon. It's the same kid.
Yeah. The butthead.
Well, we'll just see what happens. But meanwhile, hope some of you watchers out there can click in with us. Me and Sparky need somebody to talk to.
Let me see if I can do this another way. Control C. Creator Studio.
By the way, in the recording, nobody can see that guy. They made the first time he came in, but not after that.
Okay.
Hey, Gerald Wimmer, how you doing? Man, we're having a slow night tonight, guys. Glad to see you dropping in, Gerald.
Okay, so we got this character about and flag. We're going to block this turd. Submit. Okay, he's blocked. The butthead has another channel.
Yeah, he's got a whole bunch of them. They all probably say no content. Oh, to Greg Rodney, to log in live, if you're a member of Stunthangar Control Line forums, you got to be logged in over there and go to the thread under the live streams forum called At the Bench. And the link to get there is right there in the first post. It's got today's date on it.
He's got another channel called Helmet Boy.
We probably inspired him to call himself that.
But I'm going to block that turd too.
Bob Bishop says he never saw anything, so anybody watching that doesn't know what I'm talking about didn't have to see it, so he didn't get recorded to YouTube or anything like that. Yeah, Bob says saw nothing of the spam clown here.
We'll just go down.
He might be a member of Stunthangar for all we know.
Yeah, he's probably got approved somehow in the last couple of days. Let me go back to Stunthangar and look and see. I can tell what his username is and block that username over on Stunthangar. And so we want to look for At the Bench.
When you get through, I got a question for you. Bob Bishop just checked out on us.
Yes, classified.
And Kevin McElroy checked in and then out. Good night, Kevin.
Well, what's the question?
The question is on the left-hand side of the video window, there's to me, it's a green circle with a white toolbox in it, and it says Hangout Toolbox. And I've started to open it a couple of times, but I got as far as which account to log in with. It only gave me a choice of me. I didn't click any farther. So I wanted to see if you recognize that and could tell me what it is before I proceed.
It's apps that I can use.
Okay, as a moderator on the video Hangout.
Yeah.
I'll download them and see what it says. Just wanted to make sure to put the give it the right answers before I logged in. I didn't want to blow myself up.
Well, here's an IP address, 192.126.146.74. So let's look at this.
Gary Sinclair. Oh, wait a minute. Let me let Gerald in. Hang on, Gary, and I'll tell him what you wrote. Come in, Gerald. How are you tonight?
Thank you. And just hello, Rusty.
Okay.
Hello, Lucky.
Good. How you doing, man? Hadn't seen you in a long time.
Oh, been busy mainly because my wife's father passed away, and we had to we've been trying to process all the gear and get it place ready for sale, and we had his burial on Friday. But we've got like 100 rubbish bags of a whole lot of his stuff clearing out his house, and we processed 8 today. But a lot of it goes in the rubbish, and some of it gets recycled, and a small proportion of it we can sell. But it's a hard job, and I haven't been able to do a whole lot of modelling because of trying to sort out my wife's father's estate. Just trying to tidy things up just takes so long.
You had made a reference to that in an email you communicated with me and a few others back around Christmas time. So, yeah, that's you know, families can be tough, can't they? But I'm glad you're working through it all, and be glad when you can get back and have some fun.
Oh, still been trying to have fun. We went out and flew on Sunday. My wife didn't want to fly because it was so windy, but both the boys flew their models, and it was still a good, nice weather apart from the wind. It was sort of blowing about 15 knots and hard to manage.
Hey, Steve. Got to turn your mic on, Steve.
There we go. Hey, guys.
So,
Hi, Steve.
so you're in the middle of contest season now, aren't you, Gerald?
Yeah, we had our next contest, and we had our Auckland contest, the Auckland meeting earlier, and we've got another contest in Hangarai and another one down in Hamilton soon. So I was trying to get a new model because I wrote off 2 models before Christmas, and I thought I'd throw together a Thunderbird, and I've been working on that when I've had time. I've got my wings going away here, but just been hard to find time to work on a new model. So I'm trying to revamp another old model, repaint it, and get it ready for the next contest. So I've got something new to fly. But after having one model come apart, I'm a little bit weary. I think I told you the story. I was flying at the Auckland Stunt Champs, and the tail came off it.
Yeah.
The model as I was flying, and the following weekend I lost another one because I was trying to fly in the wind, and it just didn't pull out of a maneuver. I can't even remember what I was flying, and I lost another model. So I've been reducing my fleet quite rapidly.
Well, that's the way it goes in control line, but maybe you can start building some pretty planes now.
Yeah, true. Yeah, the Thunderbird I'm working on, I hope I can fly that in F2B as well as flying it in Classic. But we entered in that Ringmasters, and we didn't do too badly. It was a good attempt, me and the boys. And Otto's flying's improved a whole lot. He was flying quite well.
Yeah, as I recall in our last episodes, he was doing pretty well with the pattern and getting everything in order.
Yeah, his inverted became a lot better. He copes well with the wind too. He's really developing those keen skills you need as a control liner to cope with wind and adverse conditions. His brother Max is a little bit more cautious. He prefers to fly scale, and he flies the scale model well. He did well at the Nats. He came 3rd in scale. But Otto's aerobatics, he enjoys flying the aerobatics now. I think it's the difference. You sort of push them to do it when they're very young, and then after a while, as it sort of clicks in and they understand what's required of them, they get a bit more out of it as they go through and perfect those maneuvers. clicking the inverted was the big hurdle for Otto. He struggled with it for a while, and once he clicked into being able to fly inverted, it's made it a lot more enjoyable for him.
Yeah, that's a big step. I think it's probably the hardest step that most people have to take, young and old alike, when they're learning to fly control line, is flying inverted.
Yeah, we'll get those weekends where they'd just deck one model after another, and I'd sit there the whole week trying to repair all these models, just as 35 size practice models, and a lot of 35 size combat models he's been flying. And it's good in that it brings him up to speed and gives him something a little bit more challenging. And then when I put a stunt model behind his hand, he does quite well. But I can get my wife, when she's over all the hurdles with her father's estate, to do a little bit more flying as well. It's always encouraging for the boys when they see their mum fly.
What was that guy?
I was about to ask Steve what he'd been up to, but he bailed out on us. Well, so tell me what the weather's like in the middle of the summer down there, because it's like it would be the equivalent of our July right now. And are y'all having 100-degree days?
It's warm, but it's windy. We always get this strong winds in the middle of summer, and right now it's not really. Inside it's 80 degrees, and outside it sort of gets up to 100 in the sun, but it's still not unpleasant. It's just the wind that's the main problem we had at our nationals as well. What they did was they put off the classic to the same day as scale, so we were trying to fly scale and classic stunt at the same time because of the wind. And we had a nice calm day, but it was a bit of a panic lot trying to do two events at once.
Do the boys have summer vacation there like the kids here do?
They do. They've got 2 more weeks off, so hopefully we'll get a little bit of flying because they've got to go back to school.
Oh, okay.
Mike Lonski, let me let Mike.
Hi, Mike.
There we go. Hey, Mike.
What's up, everybody?
Not much. We're getting off to a kind of a slow groove tonight, but now we got some visitors. Not up to much. Just another Monday.
Hey, Sparky, I got a question for you.
Okay.
When you do your push rod, I watch that, and I like how you glue it in place once you got all the length. Do you have a rule of thumb on like how far you I take it you're using ball links or not? How far you put them on? What do you consider, that length to overall to where you can get that close to slide it in?
I screw the threaded piece about halfway into the ball length, and then whatever's left over, I try to get quite a bit into the push rod itself.
Okay. Just do a couple quick measurings and trimming, and then get it close.
Yeah.
Well, you figure you got a 1/4 inch of play there, either way, or
no, probably a 1/2 inch.
1/2 inch. Oh, okay.
But if you do it my way, you won't ever have to move because it's perfect from the start.
Right. I sat there and try to measure it off the plans, and then it's hard to twist the damn ball links onto the screw without having nothing really to hold it on to. Get it in there and then kind of cut it and get it close. And then I've been then unscrewing it or screwing it in a little bit, trying to get it that way till I get it lined up. But your way is better with an Allen screw, because the ones that Tom Morris did, they stop, and I just never wanted to leave it poked out any, but I probably could have.
Yeah, the old push rod ends were titanium, and they stop at the end of the carbon tube.
Right.
The ones that he sells now are threaded grade 8 440. And it fits inside the push rod tube real nice. So I just take a matchstick or a piece, maybe a ball driver or whatever, force JD weld down inside, then put JD weld on the threads, and then back and forth a few times.
Yeah.
make sure I got plenty of JB weld in there, and then just make the bell crank 0 and the flap 0 and let it set for 24 hours, and that's it.
Oh, okay.
And it's perfect then. So I did the same with the elevators, you know, put the flaps on 0 and then you know, put the push rod in there, done.
Yeah, basically before, you know, Tom came out with them, doing kind of the same thing, but we just buy a 440 bolt that had the unthreaded part that was probably 3/4 of an inch.
Yeah, that worked.
And then knock off the head off of it. And then I'd take it over to the grinder and put little grooves in it so it would hold. And then just slid it in. And, you know, my buddy Dick, he still does his that way. And he's never had a problem. But I still got a couple of them ones at Tom Morris.
I've never had a push rod come apart. I've never had a wing fold. I mean, you just do it the easiest way possible. Don't try to reinvent the wheel.
I think I got a Pheno, or it's the RSM kit. It's a old-time Stunt.
Yeah.
And trying to get the push rod in back there, I don't know. There's really no way to hook it, you know. And they show just kind of putting a piece of wood on there and letting the fuselage hold it in place. But I think I'm gonna, because it's so narrow, I'm gonna just take and run it out the side.
Leave the tail post out of it until you got the push rod on. That way you got room. And then glue the tail post in after the push rod's on.
Yeah, it didn't say that in the directions because it come with no directions. I glued everything together and I got the top block and bottom block ready to go and all that kind of stuff. And then I go to put it together and I'm like, oh shit, I can't get none of this in there.
Look at my Continental next time you happen to see it, or maybe if you see Gary's Continental. The fuselage at the leading edge of the stabilizer is 1/2 inch wide. How do you think I got that push rod on in there? Left the tail post loose, put the push rod on, put the tail post back together.
Yeah, I guess maybe I can try to cut the tail post out of it and redo it.
Only wood.
I've tried and can't get it in there, and it's like, well, because you know, top and bottom block needs to be glued on and gets ready for paint, but I just haven't been able to get the controls in there, and I'm thinking, oh, no flaps, nothing. This is going to be easy, but it hasn't been.
The way that I build mine airplanes, the wing spur, I take cut the fuselage right in the center, take the back half off, the front half off, turn it upside down on the glass, plug it together. The elevator and stabilizer is upside down on the glass, and you know, you cut the notch in it, put the push rod in, and then take it out. So you got a whole airplane before I put the top and bottom block on. Top and bottom block are finished after the airplane's together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's all open. That way I don't know, I've done videos where I've shown where I take superfill and smooth the inside of the fuselage with superfill before the top block and the bottom block go on. Not only does it seal a pipe tunnel, but it also makes the whole aircraft monocoque, you know, one piece.
All right. Well, what I did is that basically how you did it there is that I assembled the whole thing. It needs a top and bottom block. The stabs already glued in and all that. And I got the horn set up all in and glued in and all this. I have the super fill inside and out on for fillets. But now it's just getting the push rod hooked up, and that's what I did wrong. And it's like, wow, I really kind of glued myself into a corner.
Or you can do it another way too. You can always leave the stab and elevators off the assembly. Put the push rod on where you're holding the stab and elevator above the fuselage, and then set it all together back into the slot where it's cut, and then put the top on it.
Yeah, that's what I did to the last one of Samantha's, because this one doesn't set flat on top of the fuse. It's down in. So I took and, you know, put all that in together and the wing and jigged it all up and then glued the tail post in, which now you're saying that I shouldn't have did that. Then I glued the wing and stab all in place, and then I went through and did like you did, you know, showed and put all the super fill on everything. And now it's like, it's solid as hell, and I can't get, you know, now I got the problem with the push rod. But I don't know. I'll figure it out somehow. I mean, I have to cut that back piece off.
There is one caveat to the method that I'm describing, and I'm probably going to do it on this one, is I'm not going to glue the stab and elevator in until after the top and bottom block are on. Because when you glue it into the fuselage side and you start pulling down the top and bottom, it has a tendency to misalign the stabilizer.
The tail, yeah.
So what I'm going to do on this one, I mean, I get them straightened out with steam, but it's just a pain in the rear, is I'm going to put it together and leave that float in the back while I put the top and bottom block on. And then after the top and bottom's on, I'll jig it on the glass and then tack it and then put the super flow on it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know, I had the same problem with this last model and ended up having to go in there with a razor blade and cut the tail of the stab loose. And then luckily I didn't have the super fill on it. And you got everything realigned and then re-glued it and then put the super fill on. So it's okay. But yeah, I had the same thing. I'm like, how did I get this tail all warped? But it had to be from putting the top block on.
Well, another thing that I found is that CA glue pulls when, you know, you can get it in there straight and hold it straight and then hit it with CA glue, and then maybe you'll hit it with kicker or whatever. It pulls the thing out of square.
Oh, out of square, huh? Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad I'm not the only one that had that problem. I thought it was just something I was doing wrong all the time.
No, you're not alone. I get it to me all the time, but I'm gonna try a different method on this next airplane. I get them straightened out. It's just a matter of, you know, slitting and wedging and jacking and pulling and steaming and whatever.
I wonder if you put it on with just a slight amount of epoxy. That would.
I can't deal with the weight.
Yeah.
All the way back there, that's too heavy.
What you laughing at, Mike? Your picture keeps turning on and off. You okay over there?
Yeah, a buddy of mine in Nashville is texting me some funny jokes while I'm on. Hey, Steve,
yeah, we need some.
I saw Samantha's got the AMA grant there, the scholarship, and I saw the picture today. When did all that happen?
Last year.
Oh, okay. I saw it for the first time today.
Yeah, it's got to be in by February 1st, I believe.
Okay.
Or maybe it's March 1st, but yeah, there isn't much time left. And that's what she said. She goes, they used my picture. I should have got the most amount of money.
Yeah, right.
But,
Hey, Mike, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Frank's got a situation where he wants to pull a 128 thread needle valve out of a TD brass enclosure, and somebody posted on Cox Engine Forum a way to do it, but it says to pull it with a claw hammer and a 440 bolt, but that's not a 440 thread. That's a 80. I mean, it's 128. What he would pull out. So, do you know anybody? Can you go to one of the screw and bolt dealers and get a 128 TPI hard steel screw.
I would try Fastenal or something. Or
Yeah.
I mean, it wouldn't. I'm lucky. I've got a Fastenal right here in Nashville. If I got any oddball stuff, I just take it down there and they put it on a pitch gauge and they'll tell me exactly what it is.
You know what? If you could get that screw, you could make needles, 128 thread needles.
Yeah, you could.
Off the tips of them.
Is he wanting to convert something to be able to run on a bladder? Is that the goal here?
That's right. We want to compete in June at Brodak in the half-A control line stunt, and so I was telling him what I could. Pointed him to that RC Group's little write-up I made about refitting the Cox needle valves and all that stuff. So that's what he's up to.
The easiest thing for him would be if you would get off of your Larry Driscoll needle valve and just send it to him.
My needle's bent, and that's not 128 threads per inch either.
Okay.
I don't know what the hell it is, but it does not fit a Cox fine thread.
Well, no, not the needle, the whole assembly, the whole.
Well, yeah,
it looks like it's a tiger based on some kind of tiger.
It does look like a tiger. I'll double check it with one of my tiger valves and see.
Well,
I didn't think it fit.
Because I've got.
Get out of here, guys. I gotta go to bed.
Okay.
Okay, Sparky.
Thanks.
Thanks for saving us from the troll.
Yeah.
Oh, he came back again tonight?
Yeah, we had him in here tonight. Kind of distracting for a minute, but none of him got recorded to YouTube. So that's good. I had my anti-troll controls turned on, but he did get in long enough to just stay dark but make noise.
Oh.
Okay.
He got around my controls too, because for a minute he wouldn't let me turn his camera and mic off. He kept turning them back on, but I think we fixed him for now anyway. He's probably a member of Stunthangar, and that's how he can get in.
Oh, okay.
Well, who would be doing that?
Somebody with that in mind, because in the past I had, before we knew this was a problem, they tricked me into telling them where the thread was to click on the video, and somebody knows it, I think, in the at the bench thread.
Yeah.
Yeah, these hackers and stuff, they're pretty damn good at getting around shit and fake that.
The point, though, of hacking into a bunch of old farts talking about toy airplanes. What are they getting out of this, man?
Guy's a teenager getting a power trip, fucking with his elders, you know.
Right, probably his dad grounded him or something, and now he's taking it out on other old guys.
Now, I imagine his dad's not paying any attention to him while he's down in the basement with his own little playroom and TV and computer.
Yeah.
And Xbox and all that shit.
Getting back to Frank's conundrum there with the needle, he's trying to convert a Norville. Is that what he's trying to do?
Yeah, he wants to fly a big MiG.
I think the hot tip, since the lack of availability of a needle that will go right into Venturi, I think the hot tip is just to make a spray bar out of an old needle valve, take the whole assembly, take the needle out of it, cap one end, use that spigot, and then use something else as a remote on a bladder, just like we run for the combat stuff.
Yeah, like the OS number 2s or something like that.
Exactly.
I reminded him about that in my email.
Or even you can buy F2D needles assemblies for Foras, for the 4 and Pro 15s, and you can just take that whole assembly. It's a spray bar and everything, and a needle with a nozzle and a hole. And I've seen guys just solder a piece of brass tubing on the part that would be the hole in the Venturi. So now you've got an inlet and an outlet, and that's your remote right there. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I think
so.
So the actual nozzle, the hole that would spray the fuel into your Venturi, if it was going through the case, you solder a piece of tubing on there. Now you just made a remote needle.
right.
You put one fuel line going to the nozzle in the assembly, and then the other to the bladder. That's what Ron Colombo uses for all of his speed limit and fast remote needles. Is he takes F2D Fora needles and turns them into remotes.
Yeah.
And they're real nice. They got super fine adjustment. I don't know what the threads per inch are on it, but he actually gave me a couple of them. So I'm sure they would work on Norvell's as well.
Yeah, I'm in favour of the remote setup, especially when my boys are concerned and they're slamming them in the ground all the time. And I often just JB weld bits on here and there and use a remote needle.
It's much better with just having a nozzle, because you can tuck the remote away somewhere behind the cylinder head or something like that, where it's not near the prop and it's not going to get broken off even if you stuff it, you know?
Yeah, and you're not going to stick your finger in the prop again like I've done again. I to replace my fingernail with Gorilla Glue after I was using a combat wing and I stuck my finger in the prop while adjusting the compression. Diesel was a Trypan diesel. But it's hard with a diesel because you've got your needle adjustment and your compression screw, and that leading edge and propeller are so close, and you're just twiddling in between there.
Yeah.
I thought maybe you need a pair of fingernail clippers, a little file on there. I said, we can send you a pair so you don't use your model to try that.
That diesel doesn't even slow down when you stick your finger in it either, does it?
They're very tricky little buggers. Yeah, even going slow, there's a lot of power there, even when they're turning over slowly. No, it's just that thing with the diesel. This one had a loose compression screw, so it kept backing off. I kept twisting it back off, and then in the end, I just lost stuff it. I'm going to put out a glowing fluid instead. But no.
Is Frank coming on tonight?
He said he was, yeah.
Okay. I've got an example of that needle I can show him on here. Because you can actually. I'll find it here.
I don't know why you can't get a 128 thread per inch tap and tap that and get some of the right tubing and make spray bars pretty easy.
I wish somebody would, man. You know.
And I'm sure you can buy a 128 thread screw. So
this is not a Fora needle. This is actually a Profi half A needle. This is for the half A Russian Profi engine.
Yeah.
And this, it's a spray bar and everything. It goes right through the Venturi. But it's very similar to a Nelson or a Rossi needle, which you can buy on eBay for I think they're pretty spendy. They're about $20 a piece. But what Ron does, so there's a hole in the spray bar there. I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah,
I can.
Okay, so he just solders a piece of brass tubing on the end of that, and now you've got a place to hook up your bladder and then an outlet to go to a nozzle that you got in the Venturi. There's your remote right there. It just takes a little bit of patience. You drill that hole out so that it'll accept the piece of brass tubing, and I'll show you I don't know how well it's going to come in, but this is an excellent needle. It's got a very, very fine taper on it, and it is very fine thread. I mean, literally, a 16th of a turn is really, it's not a ratcheting kind. There's no ratchets on it. It's friction fit with a piece of fuel tubing. But, I mean, you barely move this thing to get your adjustments. So,
have you ever seen or used a CS motor?
No, I've seen them though, but it's like outdated stuff for us. So I heard they were pretty high zoot and all that, but not anything I'm interested in. I'm going forward with my technology, not backwards with my engine stuff. That's why I don't own any Foxes anymore, man.
Yeah, you like nostalgia.
Sold them all. Well, but we inherited another one because Paul Taylor gave Sam a bi-slob with a Fox 35 on it. So I guess that's okay. We'll keep that one. But Over the last 2 or 3 years, we cleaned house, man. I think I sold over 20 Fox motors on eBay in the last 3 years. I just got tired of messing with them, you know. And the setup's not good with that hard needle on the front. And Sam was dunking them in all the time and breaking needles constantly. And a lot of them were old and clapped out. So it was just time to move on. Give me an LA engine any day of the week, man. You know.
Well, it's nice for the challenge, but both my boys are flying. One's got a Thunder Tiger Pro 25 and the other's got a Magnum 25, and they make a lot more power than the Fox 35. They're great engines.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, they don't have the character, though, the Fox. The Fox is a lot of fun in its own way, and it's a challenge to get a good run out of it without it overheating. Is a bit of a chore, especially when you've got a muffler on it. But
Enjoy all that, Gerald. You have fun with that.
I know, it's silly, but it's fun. Yeah.
It's just not for me.
Yeah, if I was being sensible, I'd just invest in those Thunder Tiger Pro 36. It sounds like it's a really good engine. I think Ruffy's talked about them in the past as well. That Thunder Tiger
25, but yeah, that's a badass little engine.
I've got about 9 of those. The Thunder 36s, yeah, the Pro 36. I've got 2 Aero Tigers, you know, that Randy turns them into Aero Tigers. And then I've got 7 other Thunder Tiger 36s because even just with putting a Jim Lee Venturia needle or a Randy Venturia needle on them, they're great stunt engines, you know. They put out a lot of power. For sure.
Do you have any use for my 25, my Pro 25?
They make good speed limit motors, you know.
I got one I'll probably never use for anything else. I might bring it to you and give it to you in Huntersville.
Put it on that Mustang, man.
No, yeah, you know, I guess I could. That would be fast little.
That'd be a great motor for that Sterling Mustang.
Yeah. I had it on my shoestring. I think it needs a smaller Venturi because it used to cough out at the top of every loop. But
that Thunder Tiger 25 it'd be great on anything really. Skyray, Flight Streak.
Yeah.
Any of those.
I've got the prop I need to put it on a bladder if I wanted to, so that might be great.
On a bladder with an 8.6 or an 8.5,
That's what I got. I think I got an 8.5.
It'll fly a plane right around 75 miles an hour.
I might do that.
Speed limit there.
Yeah.
I'll
keep it with that in mind. Good idea.
I don't really have any oddball motors anymore. Like all of my stunt engines are LA 46s. All my speed limit motors are OS 40s or 25s. They're all the same, identical. And then I've got all those Thunder Tigers. I got 9 Thunder Tigers. But I don't really own anything outside of those other than a couple of KMB 28s, you know. I just tried to purge my equipment down to a few of the same brands at least, you know. I'm not by any means an engine collector, and I don't care about owning 100 engines of different makers and stuff like that. I'm just getting stuff that I'm going to run, you know.
Are those K&Bs you've got, are any of them known as torpedoes?
No, they're not torpedoes. They're KMB 28 Sportster is what they are. I'll get one.
I've got a couple of torpedoes. I think that's K&B too. Is that right?
Yeah. The torpedoes go a long way.
I got a green head, and I've got a crankcase for a 20-something torpedo.
You know, they made a 19 and a 23, a 29, and 35. Yeah, and then they've got the big 45 as well. Oh, that's nice, yeah.
KMB 28
right.
It's got a Jim Lee Venturi in it already, and it's a Tiger needle, I'm assuming, because that's what Jim Lee has. But actually, I got a pair, brand new, unrun. And these are great alternatives for like ringmaster size stuff, for 35 size stuff. And they're super, super quiet too. They're really quiet. That's a muffler for them, pretty small.
Yeah.
Which one you got there, Gerald?
The 45. I quite like the. Yeah, I've used one of those on a stunter, and they work well. They've got a nice relaxed run.
It's kind of neat too. They come with this backplate radial mount for them as well. You can plug
that's
that
cool.
in, and now you got a radial mount right to the firewall for RC applications, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Now, they're a nice motor, the Sportster, but like you say, it makes sense to just have a few motors, just have your LA 46s and your 28. But I just like playing with motors. To me, they're like records.
Are those steel cylinder and liners? Is that steel engine?
No. These ones are AAC. They've got the piston runs in the liner itself, so they should be light because they're AAC. There's no steel liner in there, but they're a bit heavy weight-wise compared to.
I probably showed you guys this Sterling Mustang deal we picked up at Brodax a few weeks ago. That's what's getting a KMB 28.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Rusty, I can't believe I got a Sterling Mustang farther along than you, man. I sold you that kit like 4 years ago, dude.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. I think it was 3 years ago, but still, I'm disappointed too. I really want to get that model built. I'm hoping this will be a productive building summer.
That one was almost a gimme, man. It was like $10, so
yeah,
hard to say no because it was already built. Just had to get
I'm gonna try to learn to build faster this summer. I always spend too much time scratching my head and thinking about it, and instead of just doing what I know. And I'm always trying something new just because I like to do something new on every build. I need to get past that and just build them now.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with the Brodeck kits. If you sit there and read the instructions, I'm sure it would take twice as long to build. If you just pull it all out of the box and glue it together the way you know it should go, it wouldn't take.
I guess you're right, and that's what I'm doing with the Cardinal, is reading the damn book, trying to decipher those old fuzzy gray pictures.
Yeah. I'm sure if you just follow the normal course, once you've built a few models, you know what to do. You don't put lead outs on the wrong side or anything. You don't put the double on the right side. You just do what you know you got to do. And I suppose in the old days, you'd pick up a plan. They didn't have the beautiful detail the Brodeck kits have got, but
people managed to build them anyway. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good idea.
Put the weight box on top of the wing. Easier to get the weights in now.
Yeah. I know I could build that Mustang fast anyway because I've built a Yak 9 and they're just about identical. I think it's the same plane with different shapes.
Yeah, everything Sterling has a common resemblance. The basic construction is very similar. What's Mike got to show us now?
Cigarette. Oh, I got something to show. I was just waiting until a few more people got in here, but
well, you're holding something back,
Yeah, I wish Frank would come on in. I don't know if he's busy or not.
So was it cold in Tennessee today and down there in South Carolina?
Fuck yeah, it's freezing here, man. It was like
it was. It didn't get out of the. Finally got in the low 40s after late afternoon, but it was in the 30s midday, still 32 at like noon, I think.
Well, at least it wasn't so cold by the time I finally got over to Mount Pleasant. Because when I took off, it was minus 21, but I think by the time I got on the roof, it was only like -7.
I went outside at midnight to watch the lunar eclipse, and it was in the 20s. It was 22 then, I think.
Yeah, when the lunar eclipse was going on last night, it was -6 or whatever. Your breath would turn like to snow.
We've been about 25, but I've had a fire going nonstop in the fireplace in the house since Friday. I haven't let it go out for 4 days because it really knocks the chill off. And I've been running a heater in the garage too. I've had to crank that thing up all weekend. But Sam and I came out here yesterday. I was finishing up some work on the pulse jets. I got all my engines cleaned and threads cleaned up and dents removed, and then took the Bolton T34, the actual speed model. I went through this thing top to bottom, and she got new epoxy on the tank because the tank was loose, new wingtip skids on both sides, and then new skids on the fuse, the landing skids, because of course, you know, you're landing on concrete or asphalt. That's 1/8" music wire. It's got about 70 flights on it, so it needed a little bit of attention. I reglassed the wing joint, got all the old epoxy out, and reglassed the wing joint, stiffened everything up. So it's ready to go. And then I was going to start working on that Mustang, and Sam pulled this thing down. That's an old RC slow stick is what that is. Mm-hmm. Somebody had given us that thing like, I don't know, 4 years ago, just the wings and the tail. And I didn't think I was ever going to do anything with it. And Sam pulled all the parts out while I was in here working on other stuff. And of course, he was going to put it together and make a throwing airplane out of it, just like a hand-launched glider he could throw down the hill in the yard. Well, I started looking at it. And of course, I got diverted from what I was doing. And yesterday, I spent about 4 hours on this thing. And we've got another RC airplane to fly now.
All right.
I had everything in the shop to do it. That's one of the Brodak Gladiator motors. That's one of the half-A Brodak Gladiator motors in ESC. And I had some micro servos and a spare receiver. Of course, we've already got the Hobby King Fly Sky, the $30 transmitter, 2.4. But we didn't get to fly it yesterday because I didn't finish it till after dark yesterday. But we took it out in the front yard this morning and flew it. And it's a good little flyer. It's got way more power than it needs, but it was basically a free airplane. So that's what I worked on.
Yeah, it looks like a real floater. You probably
it is.
Fly it as slow as you want to or as fast as you want to.
Yeah. Well, what I did one time with an RC model is I got an old control line half-A Combat and converted it to RC, and that was a hoot. That was a lot of fun. But no stability at all because it was a completely flat wing with the combat airfoil. But that was a heck of a lot of fun. I can't remember why I put it away in the end, but it was a lot of fun while it lasted.
Yeah,
I was at a little meet last year, and a guy had RC Nobler. I heard about it, but I've never seen them. And he actually had one where at one time they kitted both control line and RC versions of the Nobler.
They did. I've seen them at the field at Detroit Aeromodelers back in the 70s. Guys were flying RC Noblers. I saw a guy take a Ringmaster and put servos in it on a profile Ringmaster and flew it as RC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you can do it. You can do it. But I mean, the airfoils for those typically aren't as good as a symmetrical airfoil on a straight winged RC plane. Usually they're a hell of a lot thicker, you know, much thicker airfoil when they do that.
But yeah, nowadays we had no 49 in the past for RC. It's just so easy to do it electric. I suppose it was fun doing them with 049s in the old days, the little 049 RC models. But nowadays, you very rarely see an 049 on a RC model.
I had a TD 010. Well, actually, I've got 6 of them. 5 of them brand new in a jewel case, and then one that Dad ran on a littlest stick. And it was rudder only, single channel rudder pulse. Yeah. With 010, and that thing was, I mean, it probably only had an 11-inch wingspan on it. No elevator, rudder only, 010. That thing was a little screamer, man. Real twitchy, you know.
You ever see Banjock fly his 010 control line plane?
I've seen it on video. I haven't seen him up close.
It'll do it, but it's pretty light on the lines and stuff.
Yeah. I remember I used to build 020 models, profile, control line, hell, I was Sam's age, I think, when I was doing this. They would have, peanut scale rubber plans in, it was either in model aviation or maybe it was RCM modeler. It was one of those, peanut scale profile rubber planes. And they were just the right size. If you traced everything out in balsa, you could build a little profile control line plane and put an 020 on it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of those I did. I did 4 or 5 of those.
Yeah.
Warbirds and pits and stuff like that.
My friend did one. Here's my friend's one. I didn't build it. My friend Ian did that many years ago, but it's still beating about here. Little 020.
What size is it? 020?
It was an 020 one. Yeah.
And is that like a peanut scale profile? Is that what it
is?
Yeah,
basically. Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. I would just trace all the plans out in, 332nd balsa or whatever, and just glue them together.
Yeah. This feels like it's made out of, it's got like a 3/16 fuselage and 1/8 wings, but
yeah,
I remember finding it.
That's probably right.
A lot of fun from very little money. I remember doing that as kids, and that would have been made back in the 1980s, early 1980s, if not late 70s, when we were first getting into it. And the 049s were the motors to go for. They were cheap and easily available.
Yeah, I would just get into my dad's scrap balsa stash and find pieces that would fit the peanut scale stuff, and just build a simple plywood firewall for them and put a 2-inch bell crank in them, and Bob's your uncle.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose
15-foot lines too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it was all Tyrolean back then. I remember flying Tyrolean and Dracon, and when you think of what we've got now, heck, we did well to fly with the lines we had.
I've heard people say they flew it on sewing threads, but come to think of it, I think that Dacron line is made, that's carpet thread, is it not? Does anybody know?
Dacron is used for all kinds of stuff, man.
Yeah.
I mean, that was when I first got into skydiving. We were using Dacron lines on our parachutes, and then next thing that came out was Kevlar. We started using Kevlar lines.
Yeah.
And then now everything has Spectre lines. Everything, all the parachute cord is Spectra.
Anybody ever try to fly them little Cox 020 Red Barons? Remember?
We had a crashed one at the house, but it was so broken. My dad had one back in the 60s. And as a matter of fact, we had the box too. It was a red and white PT-19, and they put a red and white little stinker in there too. You got 2 airplanes for the same price. I'd never seen that box, a picture of that or that combination ever again in my life, but both airplanes came in the same box. But of course, my brother had torn all that stuff up by the time I came along. So I had those models, but they weren't airworthy, so I never got to fly one.
Yeah, them little stinker and stuff, it didn't fly worth a crap.
It's like swinging a rock on a string, I'm sure.
Yeah, you couldn't do nothing with it.
No.
I mean, you had to run to launch it, whip it, it would go around. You could fly straight and level if you got enough RPM out of it, but it wouldn't do much.
I saw some of those going for like $400 and $500 on eBay, man.
Oh, I know. There ain't many left. They're all crashed and broken.
New in the box, and they did a gold anniversary edition.
Yeah.
There was an all gold one, and I know there was a lime green one. We had ours was red, white, blue. Really, the only thing that flew well was the Acro Cub, and I have one of them brand new in the box, and I flew the hell out of one of them, and I could get it to loop and stuff like that. And the PT-19, you could actually get that to do things, but the rest of them, they just, the wing loading was too much and stuff like that. The Stuka. The Crusader was a real good one, man. Oh, really? The Crusader with the foam wing. Yeah, it had. Oh, yeah. Once they went to the foam ones, yeah, they had the Viper and. Well, not the Viper. Kind of stuff. This was the Super Stunner and the ME-109 were out, you know, in the 70s or whatever. But then sometime around the 80s, they came out with the Crusader, and it had a swept foam wing. I think it had NASA logos on it. That one flew great. You could do every maneuver with that. You could do insides, outsides, inverted flight, and all of that. And then later in the 90s, the Crusader turned into, it was a black and white airplane with a solid foam wing, and that one didn't fly as well. But the original Crusader with the hollow wing, it was pretty light, and it would go. My dad picked up one of those at Kresge's for $5 in the bargain bin, man. You remember Kresge's, Steve?
Oh my God, Kmart. That's where
that's where Kmart came from.
SS Kresge's. Dad found one for $5 in the bargain bin and bought it.
When I was a kid, on my brother's birthday, we went to the mall, and my mom and dad seen a bicycle, and they bought it for me for my birthday because mine's in March, but it was $22 because my brother's birthday is the same as George Washington's on the 22nd. So it sold for $22. There was 100 of them bicycles made, 2 for each state. And they were the Mattel Vroom. Had a little motorcycle motor on it, and you had a key, and the thing would make noise. It had a gas tank that opened up, and I had that damn thing until I was probably 20-some years old, and my dad gave it to a friend in Alabama for his son. And the last time, well, not the last time, but 2 times before that, it hung on the wall. And I seen on eBay that them some bitches are selling for like $5,000.
I think I had one of those. It's been a long time ago now, though. Probably when I was 8 or 10.
And when I stopped, I went down to Florida and I stopped back in there to see I was going to get that bike back. And he threw it away the year before. I'm like, oh my God.
Crap.
It still had the motor, that Vroom motor on it and everything. You know, it probably wasn't worth $5,000 because them are all mint condition ones, but the damn thing had to be worth $1,000 or so. But yeah, it had a step metal seat on it. It was styled after a Harley Sportster. It was a cool bike. But it was the second most valuable bike in the world. The first is Pee Wee Herman's, a type like Pee Wee Herman had in that movie, that Schwinn.
I don't know what it looked like, but it had to be stupid looking.
You know, but
well, all I had was a Vroom motor. I didn't have a special bicycle or anything. I think I had a Murray, actually. Murray.
Yeah, they made the Vroom motors. Mattel sold the crap out of them, and kids in the neighborhood all had them on their bikes. And then they came out with that limited edition. They did 100 to promote that Vroom. But yeah, it looked like a little Harley Sportster.
We had playing cards.
Open up and, huh?
We put playing cards in our spokes on ours.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that too.
You know, there's actually right now, I saw it probably 2 or 3 years ago, but there's a muffler kit, an expansion chamber with plastic playing cards that you can bolt on to the back frame of your kid's bike to do that same thing, to make it sound like a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But instead of them being, you know, regular paper playing cards, they're plastic. They're heavy duty plastic, so they don't wear out and they don't fall.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, we held them on with clothespins.
Clothespins, yeah.
Oh, I remember my mom. You damn kids, stay out of my clothespins.
And balloons. We used to put balloons on them too. They would work for a while. Put a balloon on there.
Yeah.
Not blown up super tight, but you know, small enough so it's still thick. And wrap that around one time, and a balloon would make it sound like a motorcycle.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, it would go. But it was kind of a more realistic sound than what the playing card was.
Yeah, that was just kind of a clatter.
Just the right amount of air in it, and that thing would make a really nice sound. Yeah, but it didn't last but a couple times up and down the street, and then
That's about right. Yeah, right. A couple of times around the block.
Well, this new one that they got, so you got your plastic playing card in the spoke, and then it hooks up to a pipe with like an expansion chamber.
Yeah, right. So it makes the noise throatier.
It the sound. You can find it on YouTube, I'm sure. I don't know what the name of the toy is. I think it's called a turbo something, turbo muffler or something like that. I don't know. But I'm sure if you Googled kids bicycle muffler,
Yeah.
you'd find it. They're pretty loud and pretty cool.
And now, does your kids ride bikes a lot?
Enough. My daughter rides more than Sam does. He took a
That's-
bad spill last summer, and he's a little gun shy right now. He ate pavement pretty bad coming down the hill in the neighborhood and lost most of the skin on both his elbows and both his knees. And so
Yeah,
he's a little
road rash is a bitch. I remember getting that. And you used to have to go to school and cut with one toe of my tennis shoe cut out so it wouldn't rub on my broken toe or whatever. We
he's
were
still a little gun
stabbed
shy
up.
at the bike. But my daughter Emma, she's a little daredevil, man. I got this thing here. This little Chinese dirt bike. It's a little 50cc
Oh, cool.
weed whacker. And then, of course, I got the Coleman CT200. Sam will ride that. But that little green one, I actually won that thing at the Williamson County Fair 2 years ago. We were at the fair, a game where you got to stand the beer bottle up with the string on a string. They give you a string and a string, and you got to stand.
Yep.
So the dirt bike was the big prize. If you could stand the bottle up, you won the little Chinese 50cc dirt bike. And it was like $10 for 6 chances or something like that. So the guy showed me how to do it. Of course, the operators, they know the trick.
Oh, yeah.
I walked away and I got on YouTube and I how to beat the string on a ring game. And I watched the tutorial and I walked back over there and I plunked down my $10. And on my third try, I got the bottle stood up and I was walking away with that dirt bike for
Holy shit. It's just the other day I saw how to beat scam carnival games, and I bet that's one of them.
Yeah.
Next time the fair comes to town, I might have to brush up on that.
It's Chinese, but the kids have had a great time on it the last
Yeah.
They've just been tearing the shit out of it in the backyard.
We called them mini bikes when I was a kid. The bigger of that Coleman is looks more like what we call a mini bike.
Traditional mini bike. It's got a 6.5 horse Briggs and Stratton on it, but that little dirt bike, it's a weed whacker motor, is what it is. It's a weed whacker motor, but it does. I mean, it's got a centrifugal clutch on it. It has working shocks. It has front and rear disc brakes on it. So I call it more of a dirt bike than a mini bike.
Yeah.
It is.
It sounds a lot safer, with disc brakes.
Yeah. But
Samantha, for her third birthday, I bought her a Suzuki 50. And I put outriggers on it. And she'd run that damn thing all over until when she was like 4, she learned how to ride a two-wheeler. Then I took the outriggers off. And the neighbors still talk about her, being 4 years old and so damn short, be on that little dirt bike, flying through the fields and all that kind of stuff when she was little. But we had a washout, and I told her, I said, don't go by that washout on such a straight angle. I said, cut it across on a 90, So she was flying around there doing about, 20 miles an hour or better, and tried to go up a different way, and her front tire went in that washout, and it just threw her off. I mean, that bike just stopped dead. And that was pretty much then where she didn't much care for
Daredevil sporting, huh?
Yeah. 2 months ago, we just sold her. Well, we gave them to Goodwill a pair of Aspen Star motocross boots, size 12 for a kid. Just little teeny things. I paid $150 or $160 for them. She wore them for about a year and a half, but I kept them because they were all leather on the side. They were cool little boots, but just little ass dinky things.
Yeah, that stuff's expensive these days, man. Riding equipment for kids and
she had the chest protector and the pants.
They go out of it so fast. They're not in it very long, and it's expensive,
Yeah, she went through like 3 pairs of damn pants. She actually grew into the chest protector and stuff because we couldn't buy one small enough. So she finally grew into that. And then her last helmet, we gave that away. But I spent a pile of money on that stuff.
Yeah. What have you been working on, Gerald? You got anything? You got any show and tell or?
He's just smashing them up right now.
I've been smashing them up, but I did start working on a Thunderbird. So I just started working on that when I've had time. But I've been struggling with all the junk from my father-in-law's estate, trying to tidy that up. So that's buggered me as far as model building goes. But I'm still working away slowly, and I've always got the task of repairing. Every Sunday, go out, smash them in, and repair them. So it's slow, but I'm trying to get another stunt model ready for our next contest, and I think it's in February the 8th or something. I don't know how much chance I have, but I'll try. I've got a model that I'm repairing. It's not in the modeling room, it's off in the lounge, but I'm trying to get that tidied up, ready for
well,
bash.
we're making some headway because we haven't flown since end of October, so we've been repairing and building. So we're increasing our stash right now because we're not flying and breaking any. So
I was gonna say,
just
so
gonna hit the ground running in 2019, hopefully with everything in here should be airworthy and flyable, so we can just grab it and go.
what do you guys got? You got air-to-air heat pumps down there for your house for heat? Or do you got like propane or?
You talking to me?
Gas? Yeah, you and Rusty.
Well, we're on propane here in my subdivision just because the gas lines don't run down here.
I got natural gas to my house.
But I mean, I live in a subdivision with 50 houses. The minimum square footage to build in here is 3,000, and all the lots are 1 acre lots. So, and most of the houses here in my sub are around 4,000 square feet.
Okay.
So, I mean, because, when you say propane, everybody thinks you're a hillbilly if you're on a propane tank. But it's not an option for people in my subdivision. There is no gas. The city will not run the gas lines this far south in the county. So,
Yeah, they did. I got on natural gas in February. They finally ran it because we're 22 miles out of town.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, the state of Michigan trying to go greener and stuff like that. They pushed for the gas company to finish their gas lines because 20 years ago now, they were going to build a nuclear power plant and everybody bitched about it. So they changed it over to natural gas. Well, they diverted so much natural gas to that power plant that they stopped all lines and stuff going out of the city because that power plant took up so much capacity. Well, now with fracking and all that kind of stuff, I guess they got plenty of natural gas again and they ran it here. So I got lucky, but yeah, that cut my heating bill down from, like, when we get this kind of weather, from $600 a month to $100.
Oh, shit.
Our gas bill is the worst part of the power bill. We get natural gas from the city, and we've got gas, hot water, gas furnace, everything like that. Not our stove, but
yeah,
it's nice to have gas when you want to take long hot showers, and you can run 3 showers back to back with people in the house and run the washing machine and the dishwasher at the same time and never run out of gas. Never run out of hot water with gas.
Yeah, my mom's on the budget, and I haven't been on long enough to find out what, come February next month, they'll budget, see what I used for the year. But I think my mom's budget, she says like $39 a month.
Yeah, I heated my house all year last year for $750. That's how much propane I had to pay to heat my house. Now, I also burned 5 ricks of firewood last winter. I kept fire in my house all year. This year, we've had a much colder winter, and I think my my heating bill is probably going to be closer to $1,000, $1,100 this year, and that's propane. You know,
Yeah.
I'll burn 500 gallons this year, maybe 600 this year. But then other than that, the only gas appliance we have is the stove. Everything else is electric.
I'm surprised they're not putting in the new air-to-air heat pumps. Mine here,
Heat pumps are an option down here. Some people use them. You know, I know people that have heat pumps here.
yeah, see, mine's a hybrid. It's 8 years old now, and it was the first year they came out with it. And it's a twin cylinder that runs both directions and stuff like that. But it cut my propane bill from 600 to like 200, and then I'd always have about $150 electric bill, so almost in half. So it saved me a ton of money. And this one's good to 17 degrees, but the new generation is good to 0.
Well, since we're talking about furnaces and not airplanes, I'll tell you a funny story my neighbor just went through. Like, they haven't had heat for 2 weeks in their house. And, well, the heat went out 2 weeks ago, so they called their home warranty company. They come out, put a brand new Trane HVAC unit in their house. It would work for a few hours and go out. Work for a few hours, go out. They've been going through this shit for 2 weeks straight. Just yesterday, the guy was out, and they realized they were trying to run the damn thing on natural gas on a propane system. And that's why it wouldn't run. It would run for a little while, but not because the orifices are different in the burner.
Yeah, they're lucky. They better check that they don't have a cracked heat exchanger, because natural gas orifices are twice as big as a propane one.
Yeah.
So they were probably, say if they had a 70,000 BTU furnace, they were probably pouring 200,000 BTUs in that heat exchanger.
Yeah.
And we call it bump and limit, where it does that, runs and shuts off and stuff. But yeah, you'll take the heat exchanger right out of it. It'll crack it all to hell.
Okay.
So talk to them. Tell them to be really careful about carbon monoxide poisoning now.
Really?
With these new, if it's a 90%er, so that's a condensing furnace, and you get water, acid, and then your flue gas. But you will definitely, if you got a cracked heat exchanger, you will pour carbon monoxide into your house.
Okay, I'll let them know that tomorrow, man.
Tell them to get a carbon monoxide detector and plug it into an outlet someplace.
Okay.
They're cheap, and everybody should have one in their house, especially with these new 90%ers. Mine plugged last year. No, 2 winters ago, when I was on propane, because propane will mess them up too here in Michigan. But it didn't turn on the O2 sensors. But yeah, you should have one.
Okay. What's up,
90% furnace?
Hey, Mike, how we doing?
Progress on your airplane?
Hey, Rusty, how we doing? Hello, everyone.
Hey, guys. Very good.
We're good. We're talking about air conditioning tonight and gas.
Mike, did Charles sell you that motor?
He did. He called me Saturday morning.
Yeah?
Yeah, he called me Saturday morning, and while he was on the phone with me, I got on his PayPal account and sent him some money for it. So he said he was going to check it out this week.
Good deal.
I bought a Pulse Jet off of Charles.
Oh,
Kind of
okay.
that somebody had given it. It's missing the flow ejector, but everything else is there. So, and they had turned the head down on it too. They turned all the cooling pins down.
That's cool.
But yeah, he said he was gonna start his NATS fund with that money. He's gonna put it aside.
Good for him. Good.
It's gonna motivate him to start a little savings account for his NATS trip this year. So,
good for him. Good for you.
I'll be flying it at the NATS this summer on something,
Are you going to try a stunter?
Oh yeah, that's happening. That's still in the works. That's absolutely going to happen. I just ordered all my bladder material for it from a master car. I ordered it on Friday. So there's a,
I
are you
can't wait
familiar?
till Sam gets a little bit older and just kicks your ass and stunt at the Nats.
Yeah, he will. I don't know. We'll see. Gerald? Are you familiar with Bruce Tharp?
No, I'm not. Sorry.
Bruce Tharp Engineering. He was the guy that pioneered pretty much running pulse jets on bladders for RC applications, for RC planes. So he's got a real cool Bruce Tharp Engineering, and on his site there, he gives you the lowdown on everything you need to do to run a pulse jet on a bladder, like from part numbers from a master car for the size of bladder they use, how to make your end caps and all that stuff, and what size metering jet to run, and where to get the Klein valve, the proportional fuel control system, and all that stuff. Because the bladders, they're running 1/2 inch OD latex bladders on there. I mean, they're 3 times as big as what we run for combat. Because what he ends up doing is he makes a sausage that's about 6 inches long and 3 inches around. It basically fills up a 1.5 liter Aquafina bottle. So, you know, the big 1.5 liter Aquafina water bottle, that's what he uses as a bladder compartment. So that's how much fuel he's putting in there for his RC pulse jet.
Oh, shit.
Oh,
Yeah, I know the fuel consumption's a real issue for stunt. You know, the weight of all that fuel, but I suppose at least
I mean, I'm not going to fly 8 minutes, try to do the pattern. If I get a 3-minute flight, I'm fine, man. I'm not going to fly it in competition. It's just it's a goof, you know?
Well,
It's just to go around
would
with.
be, yeah.
That's all. You know, I figure
it's just fun.
I can put, you know, 24, 28 ounces of fuel on it or something like that and get 3 minutes on it.
Yeah.
So that's it. But it's going to be one of Phil Cartier's Gotcha Street kits that I retrofit for the Pulse Jet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's big, 550 square inch foam wing. So it's plenty big enough. It's profile fuselage. I just got to figure out how I'm going to mount the engine, whether I'm going to go all the way forward with it or all the way back, and whether it's going to go on top of the fuse or on the bottom of the fuse, because the fuel's got to go somewhere too. So I just got to figure that part of it out. But that's actually the next project. After
That's you're putting on the large size Gotcha Streak.
I'm sorry?
You're putting it on the large size Gotcha Streak. He had a couple different sizes. You said it's 55-inch wingspan?
550 squares is what it is.
Okay.
I don't know what the wingspan is. The square inches is 550. I know that.
Yeah, it's a good flying airplane. I got a couple of them.
Yeah.
I had one. They're pretty fun.
Yeah, well, I figured it'd be perfect for the jet because they're big and it's got a thick airfoil, so it'll be slow. You know, I want something with a lot of drag on it, man. I don't want it to go fast. The whole point isn't for it to go like a fast combat model. I want it to be manageable. I just want it to be loud and noisy and fun. But I don't want the airplane to go 50 miles an hour. You know?
Hey, Mike, Bob Bishop wants to see the fuel tank on your plane that you were holding up a minute ago. How about show him? He was wondering what fuel tank on a pulse jet looks like. Have you got it handy? I mean, the one you held up a minute ago.
I'll show you a couple actually.
Hey guys, before this goes on, I gotta go. So I'll try to see everybody Friday.
All right, man. Take it easy. Have a good week.
Yep. Bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, Bob. Mike's going to give you a show right now.
All right. So this is the Bolton T-34. And there is the tank. I want to say this one is 13 ounces, maybe something like that. 11 to 13 ounces, somewhere in there is what this tank is. Just a tin tank, square tank. That's a vent tube right there. And there's the inlet. I got them capped off just to keep the dirt out of them while I was working. But this is the one that hooks to the jet. And then this one is open. And I'm pretty sure the pickup line runs all the way down here into the back
no doubt.
corner. So, and this one runs on methanol and nitromethane, 80-20 mix. That's why it's got such a huge tank on it. Because and this will fly about 20 laps. I don't know, maybe a minute and a half. I think this thing flies. Now, in the old days, when they were running them on gasoline, this is a vintage 1960s pulse jet called a Cat Jet that my dad built. This tank only goes from right here to the vent there. And this one, I believe, is about 6.5 ounces. But this one we used to run just on straight gasoline, regular leaded.
1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 1 o'clock in the morning. But the reason you could get away with such a smaller tank on it, this one would fly for about 2 minutes. You get a much longer run on gasoline than you do on the 80-20. This is slower. It runs slower on gas, but you get the mileage, the fuel mileage. The economy is really good.
Yeah.
You've got to carry twice the fuel, basically, if you're running methanol and nitromethane to get the same amount of run as gasoline. So this would, I mean, I could put nitro and methanol in this and run it, but it would probably only run for about 45 seconds. It would go through that fuel that quick. So, and I run them on both. I run them on gas and the other fuel as well.
Does difference in fuel make any difference in how long your reed lasts before it wears out?
Yeah, the gasoline is a little bit harder on the reeds. You tend to chip them and scorch them and burn them up and break them on the gasoline versus the other.
Yeah.
But you're also getting more power with the nitromethane and methanol. It's faster. They fly faster. So, and the whole reason I would like to be able to do the stunner on gasoline, but then you can't run a bladder on it because the gasoline will eat the bladder. So that's why I'm going to use the 80-20 on a bladder. Because I don't want to have the issues with running a metal suction tank on a stunt plane. The tank sloshing around and, just all the trouble that comes with that. Running these on a bladder, I mean, you can move the tank all over and shake it. I've run them on a test stand with the bladder in my hand and done this, and the engine doesn't care. It's happy because it's on a pressure-fed fuel system. Nothing changes. So I'm hoping that will translate into very consistent runs is the goal.
Bob Bishop says he had a Cat Jet. Do you know what a Cat Jet is?
This is a Cat Jet.
Oh.
This is a Cat Jet right here.
Okay.
Point Cat Jet. That's it. And on the upside, you remember I told you about Mike Hazel selling a bunch of stuff?
Yeah, that's right.
I've got a brand new kit of that coming. Mike Hazel has an unmolested Cat Jet kit, new in the box, that I just bought from him. I just sent him the check Saturday, so I'm expecting the kits by the end of the week.
I was thinking, I got the impression that that guy was going to possibly have some needle valves that we need, like the fine thread needle valves. Didn't you say he had a bunch of Cox stuff and all? I told Frank to look out for that posting in the, I think you said Stuka Stunt is where he put it, wasn't it?
Yeah, but the list is on the Flying Lines site.
That's right, Flying Lines.
Flying Flea Market.
Okay, I forgot that. Yeah.
That's where the actual PDF of the list is. But I got a brand new Cat Jet kit coming. So, because the one I just showed you has been retired for several years. It's been repaired too much. It's probably not safe to fly anymore. So it's just a wall hanger now. But I'm going to get this cat jet kit and build another one the same as this. And Dad had originally done this plane orange. This one was done in orange, super epoxy, I think, back in the day. It was epoxy paint is what it was.
Wow.
Back in the day. I did this yellow because that was the only fuel-proof epoxy paint I could get at the time. But when I do the next one, I'm going to do it the same way Dad did. It was orange like Glamorous Glennis, like Chuck Yeager's sound barrier airplane. You know?
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to build
Bob,
it the same way Dad did.
But Bob also, let's see, he says, oh, he had a Hoyt Sidewinder back then. You know what that is?
Well, this is an upright. This isn't a Sidewinder. A Sidewinder is one with the engine on the side of the fuselage. This is called an upright where it's on the top of the fuselage. That's the difference. Mike Hazel does have, he had about 5 or 6 of the Hoyt kits, the jet kits listed on his classified ad. I bought 2 of them. I bought the Cat Jet kit and another one called a Tamigo Trainer, which is essentially a cat jet, but it has exterior controls. So it's a little bit easier to build because everything's not buried in the wing and in the fuselage. But Mike also had 3 Sidewinder kits that Hoyt designed, but he was getting, I think he was asking over $200, $250 for some of those Sidewinder kits. That was a little too steep for me. And Sidewinder's a whole nother deal too. You got to have a dolly for a Sidewinder. You can't launch.
Yeah, Bob says he never finished building his dolly. Bob Bishop does.
And Bob, do you have a cat jet? Is that what he said he has?
Oh, yeah, and I misstated what I just said too. Had a cat jet and built a Sidewinder, but never finished the dolly for the Sidewinder.
Okay. Yeah, because the cat jet, you can skid launch it. You can just skid launch it right off the ground.
I'm writing myself a note to tell Frank about the Flying 9.
I think you wrote it down last time we were on here, Rusty. Pretty sure Frank wrote it down.
Yeah, probably so.
I want to say Hazel had some custom craftsmanship needles listed in there, in that list, and that's the stuff you need for converting.
Definitely.
Stuff like that.
I've seen lots of pulse jets fly, but my boys haven't yet. So hopefully they'll get a chance to hear and see a pulse jet flying before too long. Normally when we're flying stunt at the nets, they fly speed at another site. So they haven't had the chance to see any speed.
Pull up
I've
my
never
YouTube
seen a
channel.
pulse jet in real life.
Pull up my YouTube channel for them, Gerald. You can watch some pulse jet flights on there. It's just M. Lonke is my channel.
Yeah. Yeah, we've watched Dan Benjock flying his stunt pulse jet and other ones. There are a few guys in our club that are actually keen on pulse jet, but it's just the fact that they don't fly within suburban areas. It's the sheer noise means you've got to have a specialized site. I suppose it's something that affects anybody flying pulse jet. You've got to have the right site.
I fly mine at Brodax and in the speed cage at the Nats in Muncie. And then, of course, in Detroit, when I go up there for a combat contest, I can fly it there as well because nobody gives a shit, man. It's the west side of Detroit. It looks like Bosnia over there anyway. It's a war zone. It's really, really bad area. And not many people live over there anyway. Who's going to complain?
Yeah, where they fly most of the pulse jet from us, it's about a 200-mile drive or maybe a bit more, but it's in a water catchment area, in a municipal water supply area, so there's nobody around there, so they're quite safe to take their models down on the weekend and practice them with. And they've got the tarmac and grass circles there.
Well, I tell you, I'm really surprised the guys out in California at Whittier Narrows, they fly pulse jets out there all the time, and that's right in Los Angeles, man.
Yeah, and the speed cage they have over
they
there.
got a speed cage and everything, man, and they fly them all the time out there. I'm really surprised in the state of California that they're still allowed to do that over there.
Yeah, that was something Bob Bishop posted earlier that I never read, that the LA crowd used to use a lot of ether and other chemicals back then for the gas. It just says ether and whatnot.
Ether, Coleman, White Gas, they've run them on. I think guys.
They also have the jet
Propylene.
cars. They have a jet track in there as well too for the jet cars.
Propylene oxide, stuff like that. You know, that's something you said, jet cars. I've been thinking about that, about building a Dynajet on a tether car just for fun. I think
And they have that there. They have a track for that there too.
yeah, I think that would be interesting.
Pretty cool.
You know, there's so many things you can get out there and try. There's a lot of exciting things you can do with the whole sport of aeromodeling and model cars, model planes. But it's just a matter of being creative, really. But I suppose the electric thing's taken over so many areas of the hobby. A lot of people haven't seen a diesel or a pulse jet. I suppose everybody's used to seeing the batteries come out and watching electric models now that they've missed out on a lot of what we've enjoyed as kids.
Mm-hmm.
You go along to a site and they say, "You fly what motors? They real gas motors?" They're quite perplexed because everything is electric nowadays. I suppose with the drone thing taking over, it's just planted in people's minds that anything to do with model planes has an electric motor on it.
So Rusty, ask Bishop, where does he fly? Does he still fly his pulse jets, or in what part of the country is he in?
I don't think he flies them anymore. He let me think. I get all these guys where they live mixed up. I can't remember. Tell me where you fly, Bob. He said they used to be okay at the Sepulveda Basin, so obviously he's in California.
Oh, okay.
I better go and do something.
He'll tell us exactly in a minute.
I better go.
Not since the 60s. Tell us where you fly now, Bob.
You say you got to go, Gerald?
Say what?
I think Gerald said he had to go.
I've got to vanish, go and do the dinner before my wife gets home and find that dinner's not cooked. So I've got to go and do my duty there.
Hey, thanks for coming back and visiting with us. Enjoyed it.
That was great. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, and I'll catch you all next time. I get a chance. Yeah. Good night.
All right, good night.
Right.
Oh, he's in. That's right. I remember now. Bob's in Reading, Pennsylvania now.
Oh, okay.
That's how they say it, isn't it? Not reading. He said he doesn't fly at all anymore, but he wants to. Let's see. He don't fly at all anymore, but want to build something. And then, looks like Reuben McBride's on here too. Whittier Narrows, California, is right next to a highway, and no homes around for miles. So they also have a gun range that makes noise too.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Yeah, that's true.
So is Bob Bishop going to sell his pulse jet stuff?
I don't know. You tell us, Bob.
Yeah.
You gonna sell your pulse jet stuff? Well, I'm glad we at least got some visitors in here and got a pretty good show going. I thought it was going to be a disaster at first. For the first 45 minutes, we couldn't get anybody in or anything going. Bishop Bob says you can hear the guns while you drive by on the highway, on the freeway. Well, we used to fly to the backdrop of the noise of guns, and I think it was actually where they trained with grenades nearby the flying field at Fort Jackson. But we always had machine gun fire in the background, and we always wondered what the big booms were, and somebody told us they were grenades. Sometimes the military cops would drive up to see what we were doing. but they were clueless about anything having to do with airplanes.
Yeah. Most of the time they are. Mm.
It's time for me to re-up my membership in my other club here in Columbia, and I think I'm going to wait because they want too much money if it turns out I don't use them. So I'm gonna make sure, and I'll just go as a guest, I guess, I suppose, with Wayne. And when I get where I'm sure I'm going to be a regular out there again, pay up and rejoin as a new member again, I'll be able to find some place to fly between now and then. But I'm probably pretty close to trying flying again. Maybe give me another month or a month and a half, and I'll probably try it. Depends on when I can put that cane down.
Just buy something slow to start
Yeah.
out with, you know?
Yeah, I'll get something slow and tough. I'll probably get a flight streak, baby flight streak, and slow that Norvell down a little bit, and take it out and just fly around and around and work my way overhead. And I tried to go out to look at the eclipse last night and couldn't find the moon, and realized when I finally walked back through the house and out to the backyard where I could hang on to something and look up, I could find it. It was straight overhead. I was hanging on to the side view mirror on my car, and I was able to lean back and look straight up. And when I was in the front yard, I didn't realize I was not looking straight up. I thought I was, but I never could see the moon. So I had to find out. I think I'm going to have to learn to fly overhead stuff without actually looking at the plane, which I should have done that a long time ago anyway. So that's what I'll have to start working on when I get back to pattern flying. Or I might limber up and be able to turn my head straight up. I'm not sure. Howard Shenton flies combat planes without looking up. He can only look straight ahead. But he's not he doesn't does Howard, he doesn't seriously compete anymore, does he?
No, he's just out there having fun.
That's what I thought.
It's like flying a big oak tree, man. God.
Yeah.
So you working on anything, Steve? You work on your plane anymore?
Yeah. Now, since last time I showed it to you on Friday, I started putting dope onto it and sanding it, and did that over on Friday, and then worked on it some more over the weekend. Sunday, I tissued the body, the whole body. I got the that doctor paper I'm using, and I put that on, tissued the body, the stab section. So I worked on that, and I got to sand that down. Work on it, put a few more coats on so I get that sanded more, and add a few more coats so I get it right, get it to shine, and get it smooth. Fill in the grain and get it smooth. Once I get the body done, then I'll work on doing the wing. But it's getting there. Because I got good help with me. I got a good teammate, good help.
That's good. Well, it looks like we've slowed down here. I'm gonna get off of here.
Yeah, I think so. I just got home from work. I wanted to make sure I got on in time before I get the last 10 minutes, always as usual. So
Yeah,
that happens quite a bit.
I don't think we're gonna get much more traffic tonight.
No, I don't think so either. Slow Monday night, so we'll just call it a night, and we'll be back Friday. Maybe we'll have a more adventurous show on Friday night. So
okay,
guys, thanks for coming, and we'll talk to you later.
See ya.
Bye.
That's it.
All you folks on YouTube, thanks a lot for coming and participating too. And do something fun this week. Come back and tell us about it on Friday. And till then, this is Rusty and Stunthanger signing off. Good night.